Hi everybody, I'm Laura.
Hi everyone, I am Katie and welcome to our podcast.
Sisters Across the Pond.
Woohoo!
So, first of all, welcome and thank you so much for listening and following us. And just want to say, whatever we discuss it in our podcast, all our words come from a genuine and grounded place of kindness.
And with that being said, we'll just take a pause. Take a nice deep breath in. Release the shoulders, release the breath. And just let yourself be.
Oh, lovely. Oh, the sound bowl just keeps going and going. Beautiful. So welcome, guys, to episode number 7.
Woo!
And we're going to call this one Work to Live. Baby, gotta work it out. I don't know why that came in my head then.
I was just about to go, work. Working 9 till 5. What a way to live.
That's for you, Claire.
There we go. That's for you.
Excellent.
My. Yeah.
Gosh. So working. How have we got to where we are today, really? I think this discussion should basically be based on us both being yoga teachers. Although we've got this age gap, we've both come across this at the same point in our lives, do you know?
Yeah.
Which is really strange considering like we are across the pond. I mean, we started our yoga journey together anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Do you know?
Yeah. So in the world of our love of yoga, that's running along the same timeline, even though life is on a separate timeline, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you're talking about. Many other people probably don't, but that's
that's okay.
Fine. Yeah, definitely. I mean, gosh, how did I arrive at this kind of point in my life from I was that person. I mean, we've spoke about this before, our little journeys of like colleges and and things like that. And I did many jobs when I was younger, many jobs, and then I kind of settled into an office-based role. I think it was kind of following the footsteps of mother.
Yeah. So
we both sort of worked in like accounts roles and things like that. So that kind of, that discussion around the dining table, having that family meal every night, that kind of like was instilled in me, I think. So I did that for a long time. And then it was kind of just being in the right place at the right time, I think, for me, because I'd come visiting home down in Greater Manchester for a week or whatever. And I ended up going to one of our Nini's yoga classes. So for those of you that don't know, we have spoken about her before. Lovely Janine, and she runs Creative Calm Studio and Creative Calm Training, and she was getting to a point where that she just needed a bit of help administratively.
Pretty teethy.
I know. Don't sound like you.
Administratively.
I know. And I'd just been made redundant, and I was a stay-at-home mom, absolutely loving life. But I said to her, well, I could do it for you if you're happy for it to be done remotely. Because obviously I was still up in the northeast of Scotland.
Of course.
So she was, oh, well, yeah, because it's all emails and, things like that. And just basically a big bundle of their admin work. So Janine runs her training company with the beautiful Chelsea, and they then took me on, and then that was back in however many years ago. And I've been working with them two, becoming this little, just added another person in there. I don't know who it was, but talk about me in the third person.
Yeah. And then when Laura joined the team,
oh, honestly,
yeah.
So yeah, and then I never thought that I would be a yoga teacher, and that's my probably main role now. I still work with the beautiful duo, for creative calm training, doing with those three.
Yeah. Doing the admin side as well as the
But what's
and they've got a lot going on right now.
Oh gosh, yeah, heaps going on right now. I mean, and I've progressed through that with them as well. Do you know? Because I've done all the training through them as well.
Yeah.
So I started off on my kids' yoga, and it was really just to get some information. So if anybody emailed in, I could answer the questions about the course. So that was my initial reasoning for going on to the kids' yoga teacher training course. And then I just loved it.
Yeah.
There's something about teaching kids. There really is. And I think for me, it's their honesty.
Yep.
And it really, really is. I mean, and sometimes it's brutal.
Yep.
But it's completely innocent. And that's probably what I like from it the most. You know, it's like, right, shall we do this again? No.
That was rubbish.
So I think a top tip, what I've always said to any new kids yoga teachers, top tip is always have something else in your bag to bring out, because they will tell you if they're not having fun. Always make sure you've got a backup plan, because they will say if they're not having fun. Do you know?
Of course. Yeah.
And you always have to kind of go in at the level that they're at the time. Do you know?
Yeah, feeding off their energy.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can go. I mean, I've worked in school settings quite a lot, and I would say they're probably the easier sessions to run, just because I think kids have that. I'm at school. I'm in these surroundings. We're here to learn. We listen to the teachers. We kind of like do as they're told in that sort of like whole school routine. Do you know? And because they're in that mindset, in that zone, a lesson kind of flows when you do a yoga class in schools with the like whole classrooms. But out with when like parents come and drop them off, if you run like little private sessions or something, sometimes they can be really. I have done yoga sessions where like we've done a couple of poses and we've just chatted and coloured in pictures the rest of the time, but it's yoga.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I find that a lot of people, especially parents who are signing their kids up for like kids yoga, is that sometimes it's like, yeah, it's going to be poses, but other times it's going to be colouring in or having a chat, or maybe just trying to encourage mindfulness or telling stories. There's so much encompassed in like kids yoga that we get so stuck in our perspective as an adult that it's like, oh well, they're going to be going through they're going to be doing sun salutations, they're going to be doing warrior pose, they're going to, like, as an adult, that's what we expect from a yoga class. And so a lot of parents, I think, sometimes can struggle because they think they're signing their children up for one thing, but it can look very different.
Because
it's not a class like us.
I've had that. I've had like parents come and collect the children. They're like, look what I've drawn. And they're like, we're not paying for an art class.
Yeah.
Do you know? But it's, you know, they might have drawn a sea creature because we went on a bit of a sea adventure that day, going through different poses, making noises of animals and, you know, things like that, and doing loads of different breath techniques. But sitting down, there's something to be said about sitting down and colouring with children and chatting. Really is. I mean, I used to have like I've not been doing private children's classes for a while now, but used to have like a circle of our mats around, and we all used to be like leaning into the middle, and I'd have my little mindfulness jar. You know, you shake it, it's full of glitter, and then it takes ages to all settle. That in the middle, and we just take it in turns to shake it, and we just talk about things like, you know, what makes you happy, or what's the kindest thing you've done today? Do you know, just things like that. It's weaving in those yammers and niyamas from that early age, and getting them in contact with their emotions, and there's something
getting into the body.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I have just started kids classes again, just a couple of weeks ago. I'm doing them for a charity. So I'm kind of like volunteering and giving them these sessions to these kids. Yeah, it's a really lovely charity. Well, it's a nationwide charity, but I'm just looking after like the northwest side, delivering sessions to them. And the feedback so far has been amazing, and from the support workers too, because the support workers have joined in.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, awesome. And that kind of like stems in with you, the whole support workers and how much they need it. I mean, I'm delivering a kids class, but they're like, oh, loving it, just something different, just a bit of different energy being thrown in, and you know.
Well, that's it, because I suppose in some ways you've gone from this kind of very structured office kind of world into a much more free-flowing kind of yoga teacher, you know, kind of biz.
Yeah.
Whereas I've kind of gone from working in a care home, working in mental health services, being a counsellor, to then up sticks and moving, and obviously qualifications don't translate, and you know, maybe I was a bit tired, wanted to try something new, or more accurately, because I used to work with obviously a lot of other counsellors and nurses and things like that, is we'd all just kind of think, oh, how wonderful it would be to work stacking shelves in Tesco, or, you know, just kind of not thinking, no responsibility, that kind of stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to live the dream and go and work in a grocery store. Yeah. And then I've kind of slowly, because I've been like in retail now for a few years, and I'm slowly kind of coming back to this. I miss like supporting people, even though I do that as a manager. There's quite clear boundaries on the kind of support that I can give. So obviously I'm at school now doing massage therapy, and doing the yoga training, like the teacher training. It's kind of bringing me back into that, getting to work with people and getting to help in a way that is mentally and emotionally kind of supportive, which is what I've tried to foster as a manager as well. I've recently taken part in, along with some of my staff members, a program here called the Community Helpers program, and it's aimed at young kind of adults aged, I'm sure it's quite young, it's like 12 to 30, so it's like a big age group, but it's training in mental health, how you can help your friends, where you can support your friends in accessing professional help, what can be expected from you and what is too much, really talking about boundaries and things like that, and also touching upon suicide, drugs and alcohol. There was so much in this training.
Wow.
And so I had some of my staff members and obviously me, I kind of went along for the ride. And it was just wonderful. And I actually found myself a little bit envious of some of these young staff members of how well developed their boundaries are right now. I mean, obviously we say one thing and how we act in life is often very different, but just the awareness. The awareness of boundaries like that was astounding, because I definitely didn't have that. I've always had that kind of helper. I want to help someone. I want to get in there and but it was always to my detriment, because I didn't understand that I needed to have that boundary in place. So it's been so interesting. And I can highly recommend it to any other employer out there who especially hires young adults.
Yeah,
doing
that sounds
kind of
really
training.
interesting. Yeah. For people taking on apprentices and things like that over here, that would be a really good program to run alongside their apprenticeship, wouldn't
So
it?
I don't know if there is anything like that over there, whether the NHS is running anything, because this is run through Alberta Health Services. So it was just phenomenal to be given that opportunity, and for me to be able to help my staff, my young staff, access that kind of opportunity as well was wonderful. So I'm kind of coming almost a bit full circle at the moment. I'm like coming back and I'm like, kind of missing this. And so finding what to do in life. Because, I've also been out of the classroom for a while. Suddenly I'm back in the classroom and now I'm like feeling like I can take on the world, which is usually the case when I start learning. I remember doing my counselling. I was like working 2 jobs, doing 2 courses. Honestly, I don't know how I did it.
Well, you were playing in a band as well at the time.
Playing in a band, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
My homies from New Age Addiction. Woohoo!
Yay! Oh, I know. So it's kind of like you've gone from that like counselling background, like caring, then into a more like the caring was kind of, even though you had roles to play, like jobs to do. Do you know what I mean? You had like your list of things that you needed to get finished in your shift.
Yeah.
You also had chance to care.
Yeah.
And chat, and maybe not as much time as you'd like to have had, and then you go into the counselling, which I suppose is that like dive that little bit deeper. And then with all your training and everything, and then obviously like you eased off, but then going back into the yoga, I think it's a bit of a transition for you from giving your all to everybody to then jumping in and discovering about yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I find that interesting.
And back into those really kind of deep and rich kind of conversations, which you don't always get when you're working in retail, because it's like there's so much going on. Like anyone out there who works retail will absolutely understand. It's so intense, even on times where it's quiet, you're always just kind of waiting. You're waiting for the masters to walk in. You're waiting for, okay, it's all hands on deck.
Yeah. Catch up, isn't it? When it's quiet, right, let's catch up on this, let's catch up on that. And I suppose that's most of the time is spent doing that, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. So like doing the yoga teacher training for me was really interesting, and I had kind of forgotten a little bit what it was like to be the helper, if that makes sense, you know, instead of the boss, you know.
Yeah, you've kind of been the provider, haven't you, really?
Yeah, of the
You
answers.
know, well, yeah.
I kind of became the oracle for a while, but
Especially when you take on such a young team, that's
it's
you become, and everybody looks up. Sorry,
yeah.
talking over you.
No, that's okay. You become the mother
Yeah.
in that scenario. And it's quite funny because, again, I was always the youngest everywhere I worked. And then you get to a certain point and that doesn't happen anymore. And now I'm like this old lady, like to these young people. And that's it. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's because you're old. Don't worry. Thanks, guys. That's kind of it. But yeah, so I mean, and what's next? Who knows? You know, where do you go?
Well, we've always had lots of ambitions and dreams and things like that, especially since we've both come on this yoga journey. Like I said just at the beginning, we've both sort of like joined this yoga teacher sort of path at very similar times. I was teaching children quite a bit, but we've done the adult teacher training, haven't we? Both sort of dived into that.
I don't teach children.
Although it is such fun. It is.
Yeah.
It is
I
fun.
imagine so. It's just the energy level. I don't know if I can rise to meet that energy level.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
That's me. That's me, though. I am very kind of
you'd be
grounded.
surprised because you always had the energy to get up and perform.
True. Yeah.
And it is
I don't know why I said that so loud.
You know.
True. There it is. That's the energy. Comes out in fits and bursts. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, it's worlds apart. Teaching adults and teaching children completely different. It's like a totally different job. You know, from that's obviously my personal opinion. It is like a totally different job. But yeah, you just I don't know. I love teaching adults, but it's a different love teaching kids.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I've got lots of things like coming up and lots of dreams and ambitions and things like that. I mean, we've spoken about running retreats together.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well, and just before the dreaded C word struck, I was ready to push the button on a retreat with my pal Jodie. We were going to bring people to the UK and do more of a yoga culture kind of retreat. Well, also a bit of an exchange as well, a bit of a yoga exchange. You know, because obviously I have you, and obviously we've got connections with Janine and Chelsea, and it was like, who can we get to come and teach our little Canadian crew?
Yeah, I know.
But hopefully sooner rather than later would be nice.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should come. I think it'll. I mean, it will come, but we like the idea of like doing sort of like a European, don't we?
Yeah.
Sort of retreat. So I think that's kind of
Europe.
Yeah.
I miss
like
Europe.
a nice
I
week
miss going
in Greece or.
Honestly, now you've mentioned it, I'm going to be thinking about Greek food all day.
Sorry. But yeah, so something like taking our yoga that next step, that's probably where we're going to go with it, I think. Because we like working together, you know, that'll be our kind of joint venture. And also, I think, I mean, I'm starting to go down the training route as well, because I've taught kids for so long.
Mm.
I'm going to be assisting and delivering the kids teacher training with Janina Chelsea. So that's coming up next for me, which I'm really excited about, because I like delivering. I like that sort of training. That's also been part of my past career when I was working in offices as well, delivering training and things like that. And you know, I like to do that. So
yeah,
just being in the spotlight.
Yeah. Oh, so this week at school, I had to do a presentation, and so we were told to kind of go away and research like a complementary therapy. Okay. So I chose acupuncture, and then, I go off, I do my research, I'm looking at this, that, and the other, and I'm like, oh, I can't just do this on purely acupuncture without acknowledging that it's, where it comes from, traditional Chinese medicine. So I'm like throwing in some of this and this, and I keep practicing my presentation, because we're supposed to talk for 8 to 10 minutes. And can I get this thing under 20 minutes? Like, no. I'm like emailing my teachers like, hi, are you going to cut us off? Or because, honestly, I really like the sound of my own voice, so I'm probably going to talk for 20 minutes. So like they both like laughed at me when I got there in the morning. They were like, you'll be fine. So, and then they were like, any volunteers to go first? Sure, I'll do it. Why not? I've got my little PowerPoint and I'm like going through everything. And then I'm kind of giggling saying, it's been a while since I've had to do a presentation in front of people of this like this. I said, I do tend to overshare personal stories. Once I get in the spotlight, I overshare. It's a nerve thing. I don't know why I do it. I said, but I remember when I worked for the NHS and I suddenly got asked to fill in for someone doing a presentation, and it was at a conference, and there was like 120 people there, and I'm like stood there, and I'm like, yeah, so I've got like this really bad eczema just here, and I was like, sorry, I overshare when I'm nervous. Let's get back to the PowerPoint. So yeah, kind of wild. So that kind of brought back some memories for me this week. But it went well, so quite pleased. I think I managed to get it to about 15 minutes.
Well done.
And I only talked about my periods once.
Wow.
I know. It feels like real growth.
So on the subject of work to live, I think I've hit the point in my life, although I'm really busy, I think I've hit the point in my life where I'm actually really enjoying working.
Yeah.
And things that are like coming my way, although nothing's falling on my lap, I'm working really hard to what I'm getting. But I feel like it's stuff that I really want to do. I'm really passionate about, and I know that I just thoroughly enjoy what I'm doing. I've still got that. Obviously, I love being that like organized, and organizing people is what I really like to do.
Telling them what to do. Yeah.
And so I've still got elements of that.
Yeah.
In, because I'm doing all the admin, so I'm taking bookings and stuff like that, dealing with people, not face to face, guys, don't worry. So
I know. But you enjoy logistics. You enjoy logistics.
Yeah, I really do. And so I've still got all those elements tied in with the work that I do for Creative Calm. And then I've got my own yoga teaching business that's just taking off the ground.
Yeah.
And getting to enjoy teaching as well. So and then obviously with all this training that's coming up that I'm about to start delivering as well, that's another thing that really floats my boat. So everything seems to be just kind of falling in place, like career wise, although don't kind of think that I
Career.
don't look at it like a career. I look at it as
Yeah,
I'm doing
same.
something I love, and I'm very fortunate to get paid for doing it.
Yeah,
So,
that's quite interesting because I obviously when I worked for the NHS before moving to Canada, I was almost kind of like I felt like I was on like a career path.
yeah.
Like, and that sounds really weird. And I remember doing my counseling training and feeling a bit like a fraud whilst I was there, because when they went round asking everyone, oh, you know, why are you here? What made you decide to come to take this course? And most people were saying because, you know, they'd had therapy themselves and they found it so helpful that they wanted to give back, and, you know, all these really beautiful reasons for people to show up for this training. And I'm there like, well, because it's kind of what I'm doing anyway at work. I just wanted a qualification. And also, I'm inherently nosy. I really like to know what's going on in other people's lives. And it was just like, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for your honesty. And I was like, oh, you're welcome. But it's like, yeah, you know, but obviously then since then I've had therapy because I went through that entire program and I was like, this stuff's really good. Let's see what it can be useful for. And so I'm a big advocate for people having therapy for most things that's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
You know, it helps give us some clarity. And if you don't want to go for specific therapy, like go to yoga.
Yeah.
You know,
just to process your own thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, get into your own body, like listen to what's going on and see what your body's telling you.
Definitely. That's something that I say repeatedly in my classes, because I love all the like mindful movement of what I base, and it's how I like to teach. I like to teach in that sort of like therapeutic way. I'm not a therapist, but that's how I like to lead my classes. Just connections, just making that connection, sit and explore. You know, even just sitting still on the floor, just explore it. Doesn't mean you have to sit still. Move.
Absolutely.
What, you know, what's
What's
your body
going
saying?
on?
Yeah. Don't you tell your body what to do. Let your
Yeah.
body tell you what it wants to do. Just try and make that connection, and it just opens many doors, doesn't it, of exploration. So, but yeah, definitely. I think we've kind of covered the whole
work.
The getting to the live to work, because we did used to work to live at one point.
Yeah.
Do you know? So it's quite nice
and
to
still, you know,
flip over.
And that might come again. You just, because you never know what's going to happen in life.
Of
but
course.
right now I'm enjoying studying and kind of taking a beat to figure out actually what I want to do. I'm so envious of young people who are like, yeah, I'm going to this and I'm going to be this. And I'm like, wow, how do you know that? Because I've literally fallen into everything I've done.
Yeah. No, me too. Me too. I've just like never really known what I've wanted to do. And like you say, very similar. I admire the people who have straight out there known what they want to do. Had those burning desires to be a nurse or a doctor or whatever. You know,
it's amazing.
I've never really had that burning desire to do anything. And
that's okay. And I think that's okay. And I think we live in a world where everyone's told that they kind of have to have these goals and they have to know. And, you know, what box do you fit in? Yeah. What box do you fit in? I don't know. Can I make my own?
Exactly. You know, it's great for those people that know what they want to do and they've got their direct path and their direct route to get to where they want to be. And I admire that. And I also admire people who just float away through life. And, you know, from one extreme to the other, we are all unique. We are all individual. And life is what you make it.
Sure is.
So
I'm not going back into Ronin. Not doing it. I honestly, I don't know whether you could tell earlier, but you were talking about getting into a mindset, and my brain stopped listening to you for about 5 minutes because all
Excellent.
I'm in my head, I'm like, I got my mindset on you. I got my mindset on you, and I'm like, go away, George, go away. It's a hard life. It's a hard life.
It's a hard not life for
For
us.
us. Nailed it.
Anyway, thanks everyone
Yeah.
for listening to us.
Thanks
on
for
our
listening.
episode number 7. Just
Yeah.
leaves us to say,
See
love you,
you.
bye.
Bye. Mwah.
Mwah.
Mwah.